Hi guys, my name's Mike. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. You may hear my accent come out a little bit. Um, I try to cover it up because I'm living in a different state now, and everyone's asking me, "Where are you from?" And you from New York? And I just don't want to hear it. But and it's a real strong accent too. It almost it almost diverts you from what I'm saying. So you might hear it break out a little bit. But anyway, what I'm doing here is a evaluation of the JFK conspiracy. I'm going to debunk the conspiracy as best as I can. Um, I'd like everyone to know that I was a hardcore conspiracy theorist for years. As you can see, I have all conspiracy books. Those are from before. And then I have books, that are non-conspiracy. I also have the Warren Report up there too. And the reason why I made this switch over was because I didn't want to be the guy who just read conspiracy books. After all these videos you see from me, you'll realize that a lot of these conspiracy guys have lied real bad. Mark Lane is a complete liar. So I didn't want to be the guy that just focuses on the conspiracy side because I didn't know back then what the real side consisted of. The official side. So I went ahead and I got some books and I read the Warren Report, and it's far from a bad investigation. It really is. They put forth a lot of effort into that investigation. The Dallas police did an excellent job as well. Aside from Lee getting shot in the police station. But anyway, in this section, I'm going to cover Lee going to work and what he did in that building all the way up until the shots were fired. So, what we have is Lee works with a guy named Buell Frazier. Buell Frazier lives a couple houses down across the street from where Lee's wife, Marina, is staying with her kids. And on the weekends, on Fridays, Buell gives Lee a ride over there so he can spend the weekend with his wife and kids. Because Lee lives somewhere else in a rooming house under an alias. He's a real weird guy. O.H. Lee. Okay? He never says a word. And the landlady said he never says a word. He's just a weirdo. And, but anyway, typically on Fridays he goes home with Buell to see his wife and kids. But instead of going home with him on Friday, this week of the assassination, he asked Buell to take him home on Thursday. Now, the reason why he went home on Thursday, according to him, was to get some curtain rods that he needed to put up in his apartment. So Buell has no reason to suspect Lee of anything. They're pretty cordial. They talk to each other at work. They've never argued. Buell's never seen anything to suspect Lee of being a psychopathic murderer, So, whatever. Buell drives him home. And the next day, well, let's continue on. And this is my personal belief. I think when he went there, he not only went there to do what I think he went to get, his gun, but I think he went there to reconcile with his wife Marina. because he was begging her to get back with him. They were having a little rift. And he was telling her, I'll buy you that washing machine you wanted, blah, blah, blah. And she was playing hardball with him. And she was being very stubborn, saying, no, no, no. Later that night when they were laying in bed, she kind of rubbed her foot on his, shin. Probably to get kinky with him. I don't know. Just probably felt bad all day throwing, just shooing him aside all day, and she felt bad. I don't know why. But anyway, when she did that to his leg, he kicked her leg off of his leg, and she nearly fell off the bed. Anyway, and then he basically faked like he was asleep. He didn't sleep well at all that night. He was rolling around, and he was not sleeping well, like usual. He didn't have breakfast like usual. He around 7:21 a.m. and I'm going to give specific times, guys. I'm going to give it the way it is. At 7:21, he walks across the street to Buell's house to go to work on Friday because he suspiciously went home the day before, right? To get something. You all follow. Okay. And according to him, it was curtain rods. So, at 7:21, Buell's sister, Linnie Mae Randall, sees a man headed toward her driveway. She doesn't recognize him at first and asks Buell, "Who is that?" Buell responds, "That's Lee." From the back door window, she watches Lee open the right rear door of Buell's car and place a long package, a couple of feet long and wider at the bottom, in the back seat before Buell even goes outside. Okay, guys. Long package, wider at the bottom, thin at the top. Does that resemble the shape of a rifle? Even if it's disassembled? So they start heading to work. And Buell, as he's backing out of the driveway, he puts his arm around the chair and he's guiding himself out of the driveway. He sees the package and he says, "What's in the package, Lee?" And then Lee responds, "Oh, those are those curtain rods I told you about." And again, Buell has no reason to suspect this guy of anything. It's funny, though, because when Lee was interrogated with the police after he was arrested, he said he had no idea about any curtain rods. That Buell made that story up. But, whatever. He said that the bag that he had was his lunch. That's what he said when he was being interrogated. Anyway, during the drive to work, Buell notices Lee doesn't have a lunch like he usually does. He asks, "Where's your lunch, Lee?" Lee responds, "I didn't bring one. I'm going to buy one today." Buell also, assuming since Lee always rides back with him after work on Fridays to go see his wife and kids, asks him, "So you're going to be coming home with me after work? We can meet up out back and drive on home." And Lee says, "No, I'm not going to go home." Very suspicious. Very suspicious. When they arrive at the back parking lot, there's a parking lot. There was a parking lot. It's a little different now. Behind the Texas School Book Depository, where there's big train tracks and big dirt parking lot. So when they arrive at the Texas School Book Depository parking lot, instead of sitting with Buell while he revs his engine, because Buell had to rev his engine to ensure that it had enough battery power to start when he left later on in the day, He also liked to sit there while he was doing that and watch those trains, switch rails, and he just thought that was cool. Both him and Lee thought that was cool. They would watch that. Not today. While Bill was doing what he's got to do with his engine, Lee's already out of the car, taking his package, walking at a fast pace. He's at least 50 feet ahead of Buell and increasing his pace. By the time Buell goes to the rear entrance, Lee is nowhere to be found. Okay, now here's a big conspiracy problem. And I know all about these because I believe them. I used to. Buell stated that the bag that he was carrying, parallel to his body, cupped under his hand here, and tucked under his elbow, armpit. He went on to say that, but I'm not sure if that's exactly how he was. I think that's how he was holding it. I don't know. I had no reason to suspect him of anything. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. He clearly states that he just didn't know. He just didn't pay much attention to it. But he did give a size, and it turned out to be slightly off on the wrong size. Now, okay, so slightly off on the size. If Lee is 50 feet ahead of him, walking at a fast pace, 50 feet. It's half a basketball court. Maybe Lee did have it cupped, because Buell's behind him. Maybe Lee did have it cupped, but maybe it was cupped coming up here, and just stick it up a little bit. Just something you wouldn't notice. It's not a big deal. You wouldn't notice it if you're not looking for it. He's not looking for that. And Buell's a very honest guy. Typically, in the early morning before when they got to work, Lee would go into the domino room for a brief moment when they arrived to read the paper from yesterday. He was a cheapskate. He was a cheap bastard. He would never buy the paper. He would always read yesterday's paper. On this day, he didn't do that. No one knew where the hell he went. He went in that building and disappeared. Bill said back to the package. Bill said the package was about 28 inches long. The empty package that was found was 38 inches long, in total length. A disassembled Mannlicher Carcano, which was the gun used to murder the president, if you disassemble it, is 34 4/5 of an inch long. Now, he said 28, and it was about 34. He was about 6 inches off. We're talking 6 inches off. 50 feet distance. It's an easy mistake. You got to get over that stuff, conspiracy people. You really do. I'm not being a hard guy about it. I'm really not. Later after the shooting, when they found this bag, latent fingerprints section, Sebastian Latona found Oswald left an index fingerprint and a right palm print on the package. 15 points of simulation on the palm print. That's a lot. That's definite. Match. That's pretty much a definite match. 9-point simulation on the fingerprint match. Again, really high up there in being Lee's fingerprints. It was Lee's fingerprints. But later on in 1978, the HSCA reconfirmed these these pieces of evidence. Uh, a lot of conspiracy people like to say, "Why wasn't the bag filled with oil? It's an oily gun." What? What? Filled with oil? So you expect the guy to bring a gun that is all oily? I never understood that. I didn't even believe that part when I was in the conspiracy side. Um, they also said, well, why does it only have two prints of Lee on it? Maybe he was trying to be careful? Who knows? Who knows? But that's what was on there. That's it. That's all. That's all it was. Um, FBI agent James Cadigan, question documents expert, testified he observed some scratch marks inside the package, most likely caused by a hard object. So something heavy and probably metal was in this package. Obviously, I think it's Lee's gun. Also inside the package was a single brown fiber and several light green cotton fibers found in the bag. Matched in all observable microscopic characteristics found from the blanket in the Payne's garage where Oswald stored the rifle. Okay, what that means is when Oswald had the gun at Ruth Payne's house where his wife Marina was staying, he kept it wrapped up in a blanket. So the blanket was green and whatever, and they found fibers from that blanket on the rifle. Little fibers, nothing crazy. It wasn't all bushy with fibers, but they found fibers. Led to that location. Undoubtedly matched that blanket. Several dark blue, gray, black, orange, and yellow shades were found on the butt or the plate of the rifle. FBI, found the color and even the twist of those fibers matched the shirt Oswald was wearing. Another damning piece of evidence, man. I mean, if these conspiracy people did frame this guy, they went all the way. I mean, we're talking fibers that they're replacing. Who are these people? You know what I'm saying? It's a little too much. It's a little too bizarre. A little too many people would have to be involved. Someone would leak something out. Where did the curtain? Where? Another question. Where are the curtain rods? No one's found any curtain rods after the shooting, during the shooting. Afterwards, they asked the landlady of Lee's boarding house about curtain rods, and she said no, his room didn't need any curtain rods. I have curtain rods put up in his room. So the whole curtain rod thing was a lie. Like I said, when he was being interrogated, he said that the curtain rod thing, he never even heard of that. He said that long bag was his lunch. He never even had a lunch. Here's a bunch of lies he's getting caught in. He told one lie after another. I'd like to point out that please do not follow Oliver Stone's version of the movie, JFK. Great movie. Excellent movie. Even though I'm not a conspiracy theorist anymore, great. It's excellent. But he's got everybody involved. He's got like 100 different people involved. Excuse me. So, the only thing Oliver got right in that movie was the date, the time, and the location. Again, a great movie. It's got great actors, but I think Oliver, even if you were to go with a conspiracy story, he shouldn't have went with Jim Garrison. That guy, that's something we'll get into later. Garrison is the worst of the worst when it comes to the conspiracy theorist. He's a bad, bad guy. So isn't a lot of other mainstream conspiracy theorists. Mark Lane, bad, bad guy. Liar. Complete liar. Fabrication. Tons of different things that he was caught doing. He also jumped on every murder, every suspenseful murder. Malcolm X. I mean, not Malcolm X. Martin Luther King. One other one I forget. He's just not a good guy. There are some legitimate investigators out there, but again, they just twist this story enough to fit their agenda of their conspiracy. But not once have they come up with a shooter and identify a shooter. I mean, they've had names, but they've all been exonerated. It's just a joke by now. It really is. It's just a complete joke. So what was Lee doing in the building after he went in there? Let's get into that. We got to realize that the recollections of his movements and whereabouts, they'll be hazy at best. These witnesses who remember seeing him, they had no idea he was going to kill the president. And that later on Lee would be accused of it. They had no idea. So it wasn't like when they were asked, where'd you see Lee? They could easily pinpoint and say, right over there, standing on that red tile. They didn't have recollections like that. So a lot of mistakes were made when they were asked questions. But they did their best, and it turned out pretty well. But those mistakes are what the conspiracy theorists use. They love them. They love the anomalies and the mistakes. But it's not strong evidence. Anyway. Around 9:30, 10 o'clock, Junior Jarman saw Oswald looking out the second floor window towards Elm Street. This encounter and dialogue ensued like this. Lee said, "What's going on out there?" Jarman said, "The president's coming through today." Lee said, "Which way will he be coming?" Jarman said, "From Houston, right down Elm in front of the building." Lee said, "Oh, I see," and walked off. Very strange encounter with someone, no? At 11:50 to about 11:45, 11:50, Charles Gibbons, Danny Ark, Billy Lovelady, and Bonnie Ray Williams all saw Oswald on the 5th floor as they rode down the freight elevator for lunch. It was one of those elevators, freight elevators, where you can see, when you go down each floor, you can see each floor. They saw Lee. They said, "You coming down?" He said, "Yeah, not right now. Can you just shut the gate?" Because the gate had to be shut in order for the elevator to operate correctly. They didn't shut the gate. I don't know if they were trying to bust his balls or whatever. They didn't shut the gate. They could have just forgot. Who knows? But Charles Gibbons, one of the guys I just named, after going downstairs for lunch, he forgot his cigarettes. They were in his jacket back up in the 6th floor. When he got up there, he saw Oswald walking around near that window where the shots were fired from, the southeastmost window. He was messing around with some boxes. He had his clipboard in his hand. I think personally he grabbed his clipboard to look like he was doing something. He asked him if he was going to come down, and Oswald said, "No, not now," like that. contradicting evidence isn't signed by Gibbons. And it's, like I said, it's most likely bogged FBI notes because it's very hard to say things that you remember before an event happens because you're not expecting the event to happen. Anyway, Lieutenant Jack Ravel questioned Gibbons just moments after the shooting, and he said that the same sixth-floor story that he later testified to. The firearms expert concluded Oswald's Mannlicher Carcano could be assembled in a little over 2 minutes with a screwdriver, or a piece of change like a dime. I'd also like to point out that this Mannlicher Carcano is not a piece of shit weapon. It's not a great weapon, but it's not a piece of shit weapon. It shoots a full metal jacket at a higher speed than what our military was using at the time, the M16, M14. It shot at a higher velocity. It's like a drill when it gets going. Not a bad gun at all. And Lee, let's point out, was a good shot, despite what conspiracy theory said. I don't even know why they say this. This is another thing that when I was believing the conspiracy, I was saying, well, if he's a good shot, why is he in the Marine Corps scoring a 212, which labels him a sharpshooter? My brother's a Marine, and a sharpshooter that's tough. We're talking about 500 yards or more. Dead on, bullseye. Bang. Lee did a 212. Later on in the Marines, he got a little sick of the American way, and he started getting into this Russian stuff. And he pretty much hated being in the Marines because they made fun of him because he was a weirdo, and he would act Russian, and he would speak Russian, and they would call him Oswaldovich, and they thought he was gay, and they just messed with him really bad. So on his second range attempt, he scored just a little less. But regardless, he scored a 212 on the first one when he was happily in the Marine Corps. Sharpshooter. Like I said, he was shooting at 500 yards. I mean, pinpoint, bullseye. And the Daily Plaza shot's 88 yards? Not even 100 yards? What? Easy shot. Not only is it an easy shot, it's just because of the limo is moving. It's not a moving target in reality if you think about it. Yes, the limo is moving, but the way Lee's looking at it, it's moving, but it's moving straight in front of him, a little further away. Just moving away from him, but straight. So it's right in front of him at all times. Not really a moving target. Very easy shot, I just explained. The very damning evidence is Lee's workday clipboard was later found on the 6th floor in very close proximity of his hidden rifle. When he fled that building, he ditched his rifle as fast as he could. Maybe I would do the same thing. I don't know. What's he gonna do? Run out with it? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but anyway, they found his clipboard up there as well, so he was up there. Now, conspiracy theorists, I know you've heard of Carolyn Arnold. She is a main conspiracy buff that conspiracy theorists love. Her revelation that she saw Oswald on the 2nd floor lunchroom didn't come out until 1978 in the Dallas Morning News, 15 years after the event. She claims she saw him sitting there eating like usual, at 12:25 p.m. For those of you that don't know, the shots were fired at 12:30 even. The same month, she told conspiracy theorist Anthony Summers that she actually went into the lunchroom because she was pregnant and was craving water. This time, she said that it was only 12:15 instead of 12:25. So we got already two completely different stories told 15 years after an event. Why wouldn't you tell this to the police or FBI or Secret Service when you seen them? What did she say to the Secret Service when she seen them? Let's see. This is diametrically opposed to what Oswald said. Oswald, when he was being interrogated, said he was having lunch on the first floor in the domino room. It's just bogus. It doesn't even fit her story, her 15-year later story. But on the day when she was interviewed by the FBI 4 days after the assassination, she said she saw a fleeting glimpse of Oswald in the first floor hallway as she was standing outside, just in front of the front door. Please note, in 1963 testimony, she doesn't mention craving water because she's pregnant and seeing Oswald in the second floor break room. These are hard things to forget. It took 15 years to remember that you were pregnant and craving water, and that's when you seen Oswald? Come on. Let's just, can we agree that we can eliminate this witness? I mean, in a court of law, she would be eliminated. On March 18th, 1964, she gave 2 signed statements to the FBI that said no reference to seeing Oswald on the second floor. 1964, 1 year later. No, she said didn't see him at all, not mentioning the incident at all, and didn't even mention seeing Oswald at all. 2 of the women that accompanied Mrs. Arnold outside of the motorcade said they never saw Oswald either. Their names were Virgie and Judy. She had several opportunities to tell her story prior to 1978, but didn't. I suspect she saw the whirlwind of the conspiracy blowing around and creating a whole new thing going about the conspiracy, and thought that maybe it would be lucrative, or at least put a spotlight on her. In 1978, the HSCA was conducting their investigation on the JFK assassination and also Martin Luther King. So the whole JFK assassination was blooming again. And I suspect that that's probably why she came out with it in 78. Money, TV opportunities, who knows? No one else besides her reported seeing him eating on the second floor break room. In fact, Mrs. Pauline Sanders did pass through the break room to see JFK around 12:25 and didn't see him at all. Also, Junior Jarman, who was with the other black boys, this is, 2018. We shouldn't be referring to black people that way. They're just people, They're awesome. And but we're going to refer to them the way they referred to them then. Because we're going to be in 1963 in this analysis. So, Junior Jarman, who was with the other black guys, testified that Lee was not in the first floor domino room eating with them, like Lee claimed in his interrogation. Here's a great point. So who is this mysterious shooter? No one working in the depository that day claimed to have seen any unknown or suspicious person in the building. Very similar to the mysterious Grassy Knoll shooter. We all know about the Grassy Knoll. So did they have invisibility powers? Maybe they exist on, or did they have invisibility powers, or maybe they only exist in the minds of desperate conspiracy theorists. Marion Baker, a police officer who was about 15 cars back, heard the shot, was looking directly at the depository, seeing birds fly off the roof, and sped it up and went straight to the depository on his motorcycle. When he walked in, Baker met with Ron Truly. I think he was like a superintendent of the building. They tried to go up the elevator, and like I said earlier, the elevator was jammed because on one of the floors, the door was open. So they couldn't get it to move. Anyway, so they had to take the stairs. This specific police officer wanted to go up to the roof. He thought the shots were fired from the roof, where the pigeons all flew away from. Regardless, he was going up high in the building, pretty damn close. So they take the stairs. When they get to the second floor, they encounter Lee Harvey Oswald. He's in there. Drinking a Coke, they say. And he didn't seem to be scared. He didn't seem to be in a rush. A pistol was drawn right in his face. And the officer asked Ron Truly, "Who is this guy?" And Ron Truly says, "Oh, no, don't worry about him. He works here." So, the problem with Oswald being in that break room at the same time as the officer and Ron Truly get there is that a lot of conspiracy theorists believe that he couldn't have got down there in that amount of time. Well, it's wrong. It's just wrong. Me and one of you guys would go conduct this experiment. On March 20th, 1964, the Warren Commission had Baker and Ron Truly, the same two guys, reconstruct their movements with two tests. The first one, they got up to that area where they seen Oswald in 90 seconds. The second test, they got up there in 75 seconds. On March 20th, 1964, Oswald's descent from the 6th floor to the 2nd floor lunchroom was also created by the Warren Commission. Two tests were made. The first was done at a normal pace, just walking. Took 78 seconds. The second pace was at a very brisk, fast walk, 74 seconds. Note that when the HSCA conducted the same thing, running from the 6th floor to the 2nd floor, it took only 46 seconds. He could easily have been there before them. And this whole thing about why wasn't he breathing heavy? If you were him, would you be breathing heavy? Or would you be trying your hardest to act calm? Think about that. Think about that. This guy's trying to get out of this building. You know? To dismiss the claim that Oswald wasn't out of breath, he was also descending the stairs, not ascending. Even Baker and Truly, who ascended the stairs, testified that they weren't out of breath. Note that they claimed Oswald didn't have a Coke. This is my opinion. Oswald, thinking quickly after the superintendent Truly said, "No, don't worry, he works there." I think he bought a Coke. After they left him to corroborate his testimony that he went up to buy a Coke, like he said when he was interrogated, because indeed Mrs. Reed saw him with a bottle of Coke after he encountered Baker and Truly. Anyway, if you just shot the president, wouldn't you act as calmly as possible? Wouldn't you do things to add up to what you have to say in your interrogation? You know, to hide, to conceal your evil deed and ensure your escape. It's just a lot of crazy stuff. But another good point is, if Oswald was framed, how would the framers know where Oswald would be during the shooting? How would they know that? Had he been standing out on Elm Street or somewhere else, he could have been seen by many people who could have undoubtedly helped clear him of his guilt. Doesn't make sense. The framing thing doesn't make sense. He was out. He could have been outside, but he was upstairs. He was aiming a rifle out the window. As far as Carolyn Adams, and I'm sure you diehard guys know Carolyn Adams, she testified that she was on the 4th floor watching the motorcade from the windows facing Elm Street. After the shooting, she ran down the back staircases, the same staircases Oswald ran down, the same staircases Truly and Officer Baker ran up. And she said that she didn't see Oswald or Baker and Truly. Whatever. She missed them. Conspiracy theorists love pointing that out. Whatever, she missed them. I mean, we're talking about seconds here. She could have been right behind. At 12:29 and 45 seconds, the limo turns onto Elm Street. Now, guys, Bonnie Ray Williams, Harold Norman, James Jarman, all have a perfect view from the 5th floor easternmost window, directly under the sniper's nest window. So you got Oswald in the 6th floor southeasternmost window right above them, and they're right underneath. And there's also photos where you can see them all in those windows, sticking their heads out watching. Now, guys, I'm quickly get into this, but I'm not going to touch on it much. It's gruesome. I don't like talking about it. I don't like seeing it. I've watched the Zapruder film many times. Conspiracy or no conspiracy, it's disgusting. It's a scar on our country. This president's head got blown off in broad daylight. Okay. A great president. Kennedy. This classy guy. Head blown off broad daylight. In front of his beautiful wife. It's insane. It's just completely insane. Anyway, I've watched the Zapruder film many times. Okay, so at 12:30, the first shot goes off. Click, click, boom! Although it's quickly swallowed up by scattering motorcycles, a lot of people think it's a firearm salute or a motorcycle backfire or firecrackers. Virgil Rachley, the bookkeeper, sees sparks fly up from the pavement in the far left lane directly behind JFK's limo. She thinks it's a firecracker. That's Oswald's first shot. He missed. When he missed that shot, a piece of that cement hit a man, which we'll get into in our second segment. Secret Service Paul Landis, riding on the right running board of the follow-up car, initially thinks it's a rifle shot coming from over his right shoulder. Now, he's not saying nothing about no in front of him to the right, no, or over his right shoulder. Uh, uh, you can remember his right shoulder. Like I said, towards the depository. So he draws his weapon, pistol. SS Secret Service Rufus Youngblood, who is riding with Vice President Johnson, sees Secret Service members in the follow-up car in front of him making unnatural movements. He physically orders Vice President Johnson to get down. Now, guys, I also want to point out that a lot of people say, well, John F. Kennedy didn't have the Secret Service all jumped off the back of his car. They weren't on the running boards. He didn't want them on the running boards. He hated it. It blocked the public's view of him, and he liked to use his wife for these outings that he did. He always made sure, or he would get very mad at them if they try to ride in the back of his limo. Of course, he would let them do it at certain spots, but sometimes he just didn't like it. Secondly, why were they letting, the conspiracy theorists love to say, why are they letting him ride in a convertible? Well, I got news for you. The top of that limo is a bubble top. It's all glass. It's not bulletproof. It may have deflected a bullet, but it's not bulletproof. It probably wouldn't have done anything. And it was taken off at the last minute. When they arrived at Love Field, the rain had stopped. It was a very fatal moment. If that rain didn't stop, there's a possibility that Jack could be alive still. Well, maybe not today. Maybe. Who knows? But you got to think about these things, about these guys being on the running board. Why weren't they there? They were on the running boards of every other limo. I mean, he didn't want them on his limo. As soon as things happened, you can see one of the Secret Service agents bolting to the car. Okay. So John Conley, who's sitting not directly in front of Kennedy, but in front of him, a little to the left and lower, knows a rifle shot all too well and quickly glances over his right shoulder. Nellie, his wife, turns to her right as well, startled by the loud noise that came from somewhere to her right. Jackie sees them looking concerned and hears Conley yell, "No, no, no!" Officer Baker, this is the story I already said, knows the sound all too well. He was 7 cars back. He was looking directly at the depository. He sees the pigeons fly off the building. He immediately speeds up his motorcycle and goes into the depository, meets up with Ron Trulli, and goes up to the roof where he thinks the shooter is. 22-year-old James Worrell Jr., standing in front of the Texas School Book Depository with his back to the wall of the building. After the first shot, throws his head back, looks straight up, and sees 6 inches, about 6 inches, of a barrel with stock sticking out a window, high overhead on the southeasternmost side of the building. Same window. Across the street, there's a 9th grader kid named Amos Eunice, a little black kid. He thinks it's a car backfire and starts looking around. He spots a pipe-like object sticking out of the southeasternmost window on the 6th floor of the depository. There we go. There's another person that sees a rifle, in that window. A few feet away from the young young Amos is Howard Brennan, the best witness we have. If it wasn't for him, he's just great. He helped a lot. Howard Brennan's sitting low, and for those of you that know the layout of Dealey Plaza, he was sitting on a low stone wall of the reflecting pool. You know what I'm talking about? Across the street. He thinks it's a backfire, like the others, or a firecracker thrown from the depository. But earlier, before the motorcade came through, he saw a man on the 6th floor just walking around, doing nothing nothing peculiar. But when this second shot goes off, he sees that same guy is aiming a rifle straight down Elm Street towards the presidential limo. He sees him from the waist up with perfect clarity. The guy is bracing his rifle against his left shoulder, against the window jamb. His motions are deliberate and without panic. Seconds later, he fires again. That's the second shot. Second shot. Bang! The report is so loud that the windows rattle. Loose dirt and cement and plaster fall from the ceiling onto Bonnie Ray Williams' head, who is directly under the sniper's window. You know the 3 black guys that were standing in the 5th floor looking out the window at the president? Well, Oswald shooting above them with that high-powered rifle with the velocity stronger than what the American military was using at the time. When that thing went off, the cement from the ceiling went down into the hair. So obviously something loud went off above them. That bullet is like a drill when it gets going. Full Metal Jacket. Charles Brem sees JFK stiffen, and we all know this position. Sees him doing that. I really hate talking about this because it's just disgusting. But he stiffens, his hands raised to his throat. My God, he's been hit, Brem yells. Secret Service agent Glenn Bennett, sitting in the right rear seat of the follow-up car, looking right at the president, screams, "He's hit." Yeah. He's hit, and he noticed that it was in the right shoulder, which was where it was the first shot that connected with any human. The first shot was a miss. It went in his right shoulder. It exited his neck. It blew right through his tie. You can look at the clothing of Kennedy. The buttoned-up shirt. You can see the bullet rip through that. You can see the bullet rip through the tie. Secret Service agent Kellerman, in the passenger seat in the front, glances back and turns to his right, the direction from where he hears the gun report. Again, back and to his right. Not in front of him, not the knoll. Simultaneously, while Kellerman is looking back, calmly glances over his left shoulder to see if Kennedy's been hit when he feels a hard blow to the right side of his back. That's that same bullet that exited Kennedy's neck, and it hits the side of Conley's back because the way he was seated. When he turned, he was at a certain angle where the bullet would exit and enter him and come out of his right nipple, hit his wrist, and lodge into his leg. And we'll get into the magic bullet. There's nothing magic about it, but we'll do that in a different segment. James Worrell and Amos Eunice, guys I mentioned before, glance back up at the sixth floor window and see the sniper rifle still sticking out. He's taking aim again. The third shot goes off. We all know this third shot, frame 313 in this brutal film. Bang! Some people said it sounded like a watermelon getting blasted open. Howard Brennan sees him take this shot and tries to get a view of the president, but his view is blocked. Zapruder, in horror, sees the right front side of the president's head explode. Right front side of the president's head explode. Zapruder's receptionist, who's holding him up on this retaining wall where he had the luckiest guy in the world, he had a great view, sees the president's brain come out between the right eye and the right ear. All right here. It's funny how a lot of conspiracy people say that the exit was in the back. There was a big exit hole in the back of his head. Folks, all you gotta do is watch the Zapruder film. Nothing happens to the back of his head. Just watch it. Just watch it. Nothing happens. Okay? Nothing happens. This was either a misconception or a blatant lie by a doctor at Parkland Hospital. I don't know. I really don't know. But they didn't even look at the back of the president. They were trying to save his life. It was like 17 minutes they had with him. You couldn't turn him over anyway because he had tubes sticking in him and everything. Anyway, the right front of the eye to the ear, just like you see in the Zapruder film. That big pink puff of brain, bone, matter, and all that nasty stuff, which again I'd like to admit, all sprays up and forward, which is directly opposed to a shot from the front. A shot from the front would have blasted backwards and out the back side of the left side of his head, which contradicts what they say that it was in the right side of his head. Makes no sense. Think about those things. Kennedy's wife Jackie is 6 inches from his head when the bullet strikes, driving pieces of brain and skull into the air. His limp body bounces onto the back seat and he topples on top of her. And she screams, "Oh my God, I love you, Jack." Howard Brennan sees the sniper draw his rifle back into the windows and stare to make sure that he hit his mark, then disappears. Press photographer Bob Jackson, who was in like a press bus. It's a large motorcade. This is what they did back then. Well, they don't do this shit no more. He looks up and catches a glimpse of a rifle being drawn into that same window that the others mentioned. He starts shooting pictures of the window, but there's nothing there but an oddly placed stack of boxes. That's the nest. That's the sniper's nest that Oswald built to conceal himself. It not only concealed him from people that if they were to walk on the 6th floor, but it concealed him from people from the window, like to look up. All he had to do was duck aside and slip through this little crevice, and he would be fine. Smart guy. Now I've got to give it to him. He was no idiot. He was an idiot, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. The WFAA TV cameraman, Martin Coates, looks up and catches a glimpse of the rifle being drawn into the same window the others mentioned. Oh, I already read this. He shoots pictures and that's it. The aftermath. The president's limo is flying at high speed towards Parkland Hospital. 12:32 a.m. Yeah, no PM. Mrs. Reed and her clerical supervisor runs into the second floor office space as Oswald cuts through from the lunchroom with a full bottle of Coke in his hand. She says to Oswald, "The president's been shot." Now, when she sees him, she's not startled. He works there. He's acting calm. Just like he acts calm in the videos in the police station. He's good at it. She says to him, "The president's been shot." Oswald just murmurs something, but she doesn't even understand what he says. He just keeps walking. She feels it strange for a stock boy to be in the office at that time. Oswald heads to the stairs leading to the front entrance. He will successfully escape the depository and embark on his hasty getaway and to his next horrible deed, which is soon to come, which is another murder he commits. Now, guys, like I said at the beginning of this, I was a conspiracy theorist. Especially with this one. This was my baby, the JFK case. There's many different conspiracies. I didn't believe the dumb ones, like the guy in the car and back shot him. None of that crap. I was with a Knoll shooter type thing. Till I realized the trajectory doesn't work. And if you guys believe in the conspiracy, I ain't making fun of you guys. I totally understand why you believe in it. It's a very tough case. There's so many anomalies. There's so much crazy stuff. But that's what the conspiracy authors and book writers feed on. They use those anomalies to come up with some schemes and all this stuff. Double Oswalds and a bunch of crazy things. So I just want you to know, guys, I got no problem. I got a friend of mine who I do debates with on a regular basis about this assassination, and he's a true diehard assassination conspiracy guy when it comes to this, and we debate it a lot, and we're very cordial about it. I'm not one of those people that are like, yeah, you believe that bullshit. No, I don't care, man. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. That's how you see it. That's how I saw it for a long time. So I got no problem with it. I'm not trying to argue with that. If you have anything you'd like to ask me so far about what we did, just please put it below, and maybe I can respond. But I would actually love to hear some contradictions to things I said. Maybe I can clear it up for you. The next segment I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it right now, because as you can see, I had a lot of paperwork I did here. I got I got books all over the place, you know. So I'm going to hang out tonight and just watch some TV and probably do another one tomorrow. But yeah, the next one I'm going to do is going to be Dealey Plaza, the shots, the magic bullet, the Knoll, witnesses' stories, bullshit stories, true stories, the hobos, things like that. The trajectory of the bullets, if I already mentioned that, I don't know. And we're going to go over that. And we're going to go to the magic bullet, which there's nothing magic about that bullet whatsoever. Anyway, that's what we'll do. And please comment and like the video if you like this stuff. And I intend to do more conspiracies in the future because, guys, I believed all of them. JFK wasn't the only one. That was just my pride and joy, as Steve Ray Vaughan says. Um, I would love to do. I would love to do. I could do 9/11, Bigfoot, whatever, ghosts, whatever you want to do. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time? I'll do anything. I like doing these type of videos. Um, who's the greatest band of all time? We could do all types of things. But anyway, like the video, comment below, subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll see other videos that I did with the debates with my counterpart, my friend Chris, who's the conspiracy theorist, and we just go back and forth. We're not arguing, we're just doing it very cordially. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next segment very soon. I just gotta do a lot of paperwork because I like to back up my stuff with sources and facts. That's all. So I hope you liked it, guys. And I'll see you guys again soon. Take care. Peace.